All right, here's our problem-solving task. You can say it says, look at the following conversions. Write a rule for what the conversion is. When we say a rule, what I mean is what is you have to do to turn one unit into the other. So we have an example of what happens, and we'd have to work backwards and find out how they did it. So we have 40 kilometers equals 40,000 meters. Okay, that's our first conversion to look at. So if you want to turn kilometers into meters, what do you need to do? Our second one has 2.3 meters equals 230 centimeters. So what's the rule to turn meters into centimeters? Our third one, 0.92 centimeters equals 9.82 millimeters. What's the rule there? Pause your YouTube video, take a few minutes, try to figure out what is the rule that's happening here in these videos. Take a second, pause your video here, and take some time to try these three questions out. Find out what these three rules are before we move on. All right, so hopefully you took some time to do that. You tried these problems out. You saw, well, if I'm turning kilometers into meters, what can I do? This is why the metric system is so great, friends. I want to go back to that map I showed you before. This is the map. The metric system is used in almost every country in the world. The reason why? It just makes sense. So let's go back and talk about why it makes so much sense. If I want to turn 40 kilometers into 40,000 meters, look at it. The difference between 40 and 40,000 is just 3 place values. 1, 2, 3. 3 place values is the difference. To move 3 place values, what do you need to do? Think back to the beginning of the year, going 3 place values bigger or smaller. In this case, we're getting bigger place values. So to turn kilometers into meters, you need to multiply, because it's getting bigger, and multiply by 3 place values means 1 with 3 zeros on it, which is 1,000. So 3 place values, 1, 2, 3. Multiply by 1,000, or times 1,000. There are 1,000 meters in each kilometer. Let that sink in for a second. It's a group of one, each kilometer is a group of 1,000 meters. There you go. Let's go to our second one. Using that same strategy, if you didn't get the first one, pause your YouTube video again, take a second and solve it on your own. As I've told you once, I'll tell you 100 times that to learn, you need to try it on your own instead of having me do the work for you. So do it. If you already tried it, let's get going anyways. So 2.3 meters equals 230 centimeters. This is a little bit trickier because to turn 2.3 to 230 centimeters, I can't just move my I can't just add zeros or find out place values that way. I need to think about the decimal moving. So in this case, the decimal in 230 is here. The decimal is here. So the decimal will go from there, from the tenths place here, all the way up to hundreds. What we need to do is 1 place value, 2. You see my cursor moving, hopefully. The decimal from here, 1, 2 place values. Again, I'll show you. Is it 2.3? Imagine the decimal being here, but it's not. 1 place value, now 2. It went up 2 place values. 2 place values up is 1. It's multiplying because it's going up place values. Multiply by 1 with 2 zeros, 2 place values, or times 100, friends. Same thing, powers of 10, just decimals involved. It's the same thing. All right, so that means there's 100 centimeters in a meter. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. We'll go over about what a meter is in a minute. Last one, to turn centimeters into millimeters. So we have another small decimal value. Converting here. If you haven't tried it already, pause the video, try it. All right, hopefully you've tried this one already. Here we go. We notice the digits are all the same again. The only difference is the place values they're in. That means we're working with powers of 10 just like before. So the decimal was here, and now it looks like it's moved from here 1 space over. 1 space is 1 place value. 1 place value is 1 with 1 0 on it, and that means we're multiplying because it got bigger. Multiply times 10, and I can't spell multiply. Multiply times 10, or just times 10. This means that each centimeter, or if it was a whole centimeter, has 10 millimeters in it. is the group of 10 millimeters. So let's go into our guided practice and figure that out. But first, let's talk about our units we're talking about. Millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. I really like the metric system. It makes so much more sense than the customary system we were using before, where there's 12 inches in a foot, and then 3 feet in a yard, and then 1,760 yards in a mile. It doesn't make any sense. So let's stick with something that makes sense, the metric system. I'm going to use so much of this in science class from here all the way through high school. So let's go to how big each unit is. So starting with the smallest unit, a millimeter. A millimeter is basically, I mean, it's the smallest unit of length we really use in life, and basically it's a little bit thicker than a fingernail. It's really small. So like thick fingernails, it's really small, or the thickness, really exactly the thickness of a paperclip is about a millimeter, to give you an idea. But thinking about fingers, because we're going to our next one, a centimeter is about the width of a pinky finger. So from here to here, that's a centimeter. So a millimeter is like as close as I can get together. What's something millimeter? 10 of those makes 1 centimeter, the width of my pinky finger. If I want to take a centimeter and go to a meter, this is where it gets weird. I mean, the only slightly weird part is you go from centimeter up to a meter, you need to have 100 centimeters. And to take 100 centimeters, it's about a yard. So it's in this case about as wide as a door is. Again, about as wide as a door. I mean, my arms are long, so it's not as far as my arms can be apart, but it's actually almost about, if I stretch one arm all the way this way, doing some weird dance move, that's about a meter, 100 pinky fingers lined up together. So if I have a meter is 100 centimeters. It's pretty big, can measure a lot of things, but if you're going somewhere, driving somewhere, we don't use miles in the metric system, we use something bigger. That big unit is the kilometer. And to give you an idea, a kilometer is about the distance from Veritas Prep, the school, down to if you drove to the Basketball Hall of Fame, would be about a kilometer. So it's 1,000 of these meters. So the same thing, if you kind of go running and take big strides, it would take you about 1,000 big stride steps to get 1 kilometer. So think, millimeter to centimeter is 10 times 10. A centimeter to a meter is times 100. A meter to a kilometer all the way to the Basketball Hall of Fame is 1,000 meters. So that's going to make a totally new cheat sheet for us I'm going to show you in a moment. So the metric system is another one of the systems you're not going to get a conversion chart or a list of the amount of units in one type, how many meters or in a kilometer. You just need to memorize it. And if you need to memorize it anyways, I think it's really helpful to memorize a cheat sheet. So I'm going to show you my cheat sheet. I really recommend taking a second to pause your computer screen and copy this down on a piece of paper so you have it too. It just kind of gets it stuck in your head. Even if you feel like you know it, just good practice to get it in your head. So we're going to start, as always, with the smallest unit on the left side, like all my conversion charts. Same setup, just the units are different and the conversions are different. So millimeters are on the far left, they're the smallest, and their abbreviation is mm. To go to a bigger unit, I'm putting them into groups. 10 millimeters in a group is 1 centimeter. So I divide by 10 to get to centimeters, if I'm turning millimeters to centimeters. If I have centimeters, abbreviation cm, up to meters, I need to divide by 100, because there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. I'm putting them in groups of 100. If I put meters into kilometers, I go up and divide by 1,000, because 1,000 meters makes 1 kilometer. I say kilometer, some people say kilometer, but I feel like it just sounds silly. Kilometer just sounds funny. Kilometer makes a lot more sense to me. Not one right way or wrong way. But going the other way, 1 kilometer has 1,000 meters in it, so each kilometer times 1,000 gets me back to m. I totally forgot. The abbreviation for kilometer should be km. A little k, a little m down there. My bad. Centimeter to millimeter times 10. Hopefully you took some time, copied that down. I'm going to put it big full screen just so you can copy it and see it. Pause that screen if you need to. Awesome. Well, that messed with the brightness of my screen. Let's go back to our guided practice and crank this out. All right, folks, guided practice should be quick. All this metric system stuff is just powers of 10. If you have your cheat sheet or you know how many units are in another unit, you can go through this really quickly. First one I know, I'm turning meters to kilometers. I'm going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, okay? So meters to kilometers, smaller unit to bigger unit. So I see 1,000 meters in a kilometer. I know I'm dividing by 1,000 because it goes smaller to bigger. Divide by 1,000. I'm not going to use the standard algorithm or anything like that. I'm just going to put my decimal here and then just move it. How many place values? Divide by 1,000. Well, 1,000 has 3 zeros, so divide by 3 place values. 1, 2, 3. My decimal is now here. So of course the comma and other things are going to disappear. I'm not going to keep those decimals in that number there. That should be weird. But over here, it's between the 5 and the 3. The answer is 5.3 kilometers. If I said 5.300, it means the same thing. I like to get rid of those extra zeros and say 5.3 kilometers. Let's just go down these here, and then we'll go down over there. 2/100ths of a kilometer. Again, you should be trying this in your own, if you can, before I solve it, to meters. So kilometers to meters. The bigger unit here, I should know it, but if not, check my cheat sheet, is kilometers. So I'm going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, so I need to multiply. Big unit to small unit, kilometers to meters, 1,000 again. So in this case, the decimal is here. So I need to move it 3 place values times 1,000. I'm getting bigger, so the decimal is going to move to the right. The number should get bigger. 1, 2, 3. I need to add a 0 in there. The decimal is now going to be there. So went 3 place values over. It was 0.20. Now it's going to be 20 meters. Again, that makes sense because I had less than a kilometer is only 20 meters, and it's not that far. My arms stretched 20 times. Now 450 millimeters to centimeters to centimeters. That's a smallest unit to another small unit, but not quite as small. So it's got to be dividing. I'm going to a bigger unit. So millimeters, that's 10 to make 1 centimeter. So I need to divide by 10. The decimal in 450 is here. I like to put the decimal in where I know where it is. I'm dividing by 10. That's just 1 place value. So if I go 1 place value over, boom, it's going to be right there. So 450 is not 450 anymore. It's 45. I can keep 45.0 if I like. It has the same value, but I'll keep it clean, just keep it 45. 46.6 centimeters to millimeters. Now I'm going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm doing the opposite. I'm multiplying by 10 in this case. So 46.6, the decimal moves 1 place value to the right because it's 1 place value bigger, so it's going to be 466 instead of 46.6. 466 millimeters. I'm going to do a few more of these before I send you off on your own. 30 millimeters to centimeters. Again, I'm going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, so I have to multiply. 30, the decimal is here, even though there's a 0 on it, but the decimal is going to move 1 place to the right. If I move to the right, I gotta put a 0 in this place. The decimal will be here because there's no numbers there. It's going to go from 30 up to 300. I'm sorry, that was a lie. 30 goes 2 place values. 1, 0, 2 zeros, oops, with a decimal. So it should be not 300, but 3,000 is what it should become. So 30, the decimal moved 2 places, 3,000. And honestly, that's the problems that mess people up the most, when there's zeros on there already. 3,000 centimeters. So be careful on the exit if you see that. Centimeters to meters. Centimeters are smaller than meters. So that means I'm going to have to divide. In this case, centimeters to meters again is 100. So I'm dividing by 100. The decimal here in 3,507 is here. 3 place values. 1, 2, 3 place values. The decimal should be here. So it's 3.507 now. 3.507 meters. Last two. Kilometers to meters. 1,000 kilometers make a meter. Kilometers are bigger than meters, so that means I need to multiply if I'm going to the smaller unit. 6 times 1,000. Hopefully you can just do that in your head and say that's 6,000. 6,000 meters. 189 centimeters to meters. Centimeters to meters. Look at my chart. Which is bigger, centimeters or meters? Well, 100 centimeters makes 1 meter. So a centimeter's got to be smaller. So I got to divide by 100. The decimal 109 is here, so it's going to be one place value, two place values. That's 100. So it's going to be 1.89 or 1 and 89 hundredths. 1 and 89 hundredths meters. There you go. These word problems are the same thing. I'm not even going to do them right here in the guide to practice. I'm going to just write the answers out. I'm not going to talk about them because it's just asking you going from centimeters. I like to highlight what I'm going from, or underline. You can do that if you want to millimeters. Okay, so I know what I'm doing. Centimeters to millimeters. Don't get distracted by the words. Centimeters, millimeters. It's going to a smaller unit. Got to multiply times 10. 390 millimeters. I should say the snake is. The snake is. I's and L's look the same. Next one, I'm going to underline the units. Kilometers is what I'm starting with, and I'm turning it into meters. So underline meters. So going kilometers to meters, that's from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. So I'm also multiplying in this situation, and I'm multiplying this time though by 1,000 because there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Or you could use the cheat sheet to see it. So 0.34 times 1,000, decimal 1, 2, 3, 340. 340. Oh, Isaac's Street is 340 meters long. If you want to find out more how to use a cheat sheet, I'll be showing in office hours this week, or your teachers, if you're not in DePaul, can certainly show you as well. Also, check out these great Khan Academy videos. They tell you how to look at metric distance and length. Really useful. Some of them are videos, some of them are practice questions. But then go to your independent practice, solve them as best you can, go to Edulastic, submit your exit ticket, and then mark it as done so your teachers know you're ready to move on. Metric system with me today. It's really my favorite measurement system of all time, literally. And I hope you like it too, because it's so easy. And I don't always like things that are easy. I like to embrace a struggle, all those things, but I like when it's easy and it makes sense and it works. Why make it more complicated than it needs to be? So hopefully you figured that out with me today. This is our last week till our April break week. April break week is going to be kind of a week to catch up on work. And there will be no new videos, no new content during that week. There will be some things to work on, but again, nothing new. So enjoy Spirit Week this week. Engage with Instagram, or just send things to Google Classroom so we can see what great things you guys are doing at home. Just because you're at home alone doesn't mean you have to be alone. Reach out, stay connected to your friends, stay connected to your teachers. We miss you. We care about you. Stay safe and healthy. See you soon.